Church intro video. Church intro video.
Church intro video.
It's a part of the church intro video.
Yes.
The intro to the church, the video.
The intro to the church, the video.
I don't know.
Every day I search in spite of me. Every day I search for what I cannot see. Every day I search for you.
It always makes me laugh when certain social media say things like, this person who should never be on social media just joined social media. Would you like to follow them? And you're like, no. They shouldn't be on social media. That just always makes me laugh. What's really funny is when I get the same notification for the same person multiple times. Because then I'm like, is this because this person shouldn't be on social media to the point where they've had to create multiple accounts because they just shouldn't be on social media? Or is this person reactivating their account over and over again? Or is this particular social media just lying to me? You know, so that's the one that really makes me giggle. Okay. I hope this person doesn't have 4 social medias. But anyway.
Anyway. Watching land. Pardon the wah. As I butcher the French.
I have nothing to say.
That's gonna be a long night then. For me.
No,
If you're not gonna say nothing.
no, I think it'd be okay.
You didn't say anything at all?
Yeah, I think it'd be fine.
I mean, theoretically I could do that, but I don't like doing that.
You did it for a long time. It's all good.
I did 10-minute episodes for a long time, where it was just me talking, yeah.
It'll be fine.
I don't want it to just be me for a full hour, though.
It'll be fine.
That'll be Don't worry about it.
You're very mean to me.
Who's being mean?
You're very mean to me.
I'm mean?
You're mean.
Say that again, I'm gonna cut your pay on this show in half.
Does that mean...
Quick, what's half of 0?
Don't ask any electronic device. Sometimes they freak out when you do that.
What's half of 0? Error.
Nope.
Error is half of 0.
Nope.
That
Half of
is not the
0
answer we were looking for.
is nope. Oh, I didn't press the buttons in time. I messed up. We did not go
You messed
face.
up and created a black screen.
I created a black screen. I didn't mess up. I fixed the mess up now. I'm gonna wait till each
Hello
time you start
and
to open your mouth to try to do it, and then say something and see how long this will take before you're like, will you let me just speak after just saying the fact that you couldn't do it without a co-host or didn't like it without a co-host. Oh, that's a face.
hello and welcome to season 4, episode 7 of the Berean Manifesto: Faith, Hope, and Love for the Modern Christian. I'm Pastor Bill, and I am joined by the ever illustrious Pastor Nooms. Pastor Nooms, how you doing today, bud?
I'm good, other than the fact that you just killed the video for a minute, and so then
I
now
sure did.
everyone
I
on
killed.
Twitch got like crazy lag when I
Yeah.
had to switch because if you turn your camera off, Discord doesn't automatically turn your camera back on. You know, little things like that, which is why we have a pre-show, you know, just little things. Yes,
Hey, man, you were the one that was messing with me.
but you messed with the audience. That's a difference.
Oh. We got Zadie on Twitch. What's up,
No.
Zadie? So, how was your week, Pastor Nooms?
Um, hmm. I think my week was pretty good.
Hmm.
Um, this girl did not just say the sky.
She
Is
sure did.
mm,
We would have
mm.
also accepted firmament or stars.
Or me, because technically I'm above her. The
Oh, because you had a 2-story house. I
Yeah,
see.
because the office is upstairs.
For a second there, I thought we were getting real chauvinist.
No.
You're like,
No.
because I'm above her.
No. In the spatial relationship of things to the ground, I am technically higher.
I'm the man in this relationship, so I'm above her. No,
Yeah,
you're
no,
just on the second floor.
yeah, I'm just on the
And
second
she's
floor.
on the first floor.
Yeah, exactly. So this week's been pretty good. I've slept a lot. I've just not been like feeling it. So I've just been going to bed after in the evening every night. Um, but work's been good. And everything else in life is pretty good. We actually registered. Well, we paid the registration fee. They gotta still do the, are there slots, are there not, for Sarah to start going to a school here in town, a Christian school, which is good. It's the
Okay.
same school my wife works at, the ELC that um, is attached to it. So it's that was exciting, and then we have just stuff going on, just normal stuff. Work is work, and I've been real tired, and I don't know why. Just so tired.
Hmm. Okay.
But that's been my week. Played some games. Still playing the same Pathfinder: Wrath of the Righteous. There's a lot in that game story-wise. So every decision, it's one of those weird games where every decision matters. So like, I've got through a menu that you can download from a mod.
Uh-huh.
And when you download it, it tells you what each like choice will do for the future of the game, and sometimes it's like I don't understand what any of this means, but it's gonna do something.
Right. It's like, if you choose this now, you will not be able to flirp your doodad in level 20. And you're like, first off, what's a flirp? And second, what kind of doodad are we talking about?
Yeah.
Is it like a gun? Is it a flower? Is it a jacket? Is it something integral to fighting? What?
Yeah, it's very, sometimes you're like, oh, I don't understand. And today, so it's technically the creators of the game are Russian, and it's been ported into English for
They're
those of us that speak English.
they're
Um,
technically Russian, or they're
no,
actually Russian.
the what did I say?
You said because the creators are technically Russian, it's been ported into English.
I have no idea what that was supposed to say. The tech team that built this game, the is Russian. I've
Okay,
no
okay.
idea what I was trying to say. The technical team is Russian, which is there's what I was trying to say. The technical team is Russian, and
Well,
so
at least they get it done fast that way, right?
I don't know.
That
I
was
mean
a dad joke.
the whole software company is
No, it was a dad joke. They're Russian. They get it done fast. They're Russian.
for those of you out there in podcast land. Pastor Nooms now has his head in his hands, wondering why he has ever agreed to do any of this with this punny old man that is Pastor Bill. Join us on Sunday nights live at 6:30 to be able to watch
I believe
Pastor Nooms' face as he gives Pastor Bill looks of disgust.
our lifelong faded inseparability began at the moment when I said, "Hey, they're playing StarCraft. Can we play too?"
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's where it started. And then running into
And then
each
from
other
then on, our
randomly.
fates were intertwined. I mean,
Yeah, and weirdly too. Like, ooh, you
Yeah.
have an umbrella. I don't want to be out in the rain. Let me step. Oh, hey, I know you. Little things, you know.
little things, you know.
All right. So, how was your week?
My week was all right. I mean, I'm pretty tired. I haven't really had any monsters this week. I've been trying to do coffee, which has failed miserably. So I'm constantly fighting to stay awake during the day, and then at about 9 o'clock, I'm going, "Oh, why am I still awake? It's got to be like 9 o'clock." Okay.
Do
So
you,
yeah. So that's been
if you're trying to wean yourself off of monsters and trying to go the coffee route, that's a ton of coffee. If you're trying to keep the
it's a
same
ton of coffee.
caffeine
So
intake.
earlier we were playing Munchkin, Harry Potter Munchkin, and I played my turn, and then I straight fell asleep at the table, and it went all the way around, and they had to wake me up to play my next turn. Yeah.
That's not how you're supposed to play Munchkin.
That's not how you're supposed to play Munchkin.
No, you have to be
So
awake for
that's
Munchkin.
so I've been tired this week as myself, but because I'm not getting the caffeine intake. I wonder if I hid away any monsters in this drawer down.
As Pastor Bill fades away from the microphone to dig through his desk.
No, they're empty. It's empty.
Now, what's
The
the
dog
reason?
did.
What's
The
the
dog did
reason?
panic when I opened the drawer. She was like,
Uh,
"You ain't pinching my tail with that drawer again."
what's the reason?
One
Is it a
time.
health reason? Is it a the fact that monsters are effing expensive reason? Is it what's the reason for backing off the monsters?
It's a personal reason.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I've done a bunch of writing this week.
Cool.
There was a short story contest, NYC Midnight, that I entered. There's several rounds spread out throughout the year, but the first round was this week. We had 8 days to write a up to 2,500 word short story, and they randomly assign you a type of story, a topic, and a character, and you have to write the story. I got fairy tale, and the topic was purposeless, and the character was a sculptor, and that was a little stretching, but I got it written. So
I could see where that would be stretching.
yeah. So the first thing I had to do was figure out what are the elements of a fairy tale. What actually qualifies as a fairy tale. And then I spent a day just straight reading fairy tales. Like, if I'm gonna write one, I need to know what one looks like, right? So, what are you smirking about over there?
It's the backside of the fairy. That's the fairy tale.
That's the fairy tale. Yeah, absolutely. That's the fairy tale. So yeah, so I've been doing, writing and getting ready for tonight, and um, chauffeuring my kids all over town. Not looking forward to this cold front that's coming in right now.
There's a cold front coming in?
Oh yeah. So yeah. So that's where I'm at this week. So yeah. If that's all we've got for our weeks, then it's time for
Yeah, I
getting
guess
to
it
know the
is.
pastors. It's your week for your card, bud.
Oh, is it my week? You reached
It's
down
your
like you
week,
were
yeah.
grabbing one, so I thought it was your week for some reason.
No, I was grabbing this clamp to play with. Clamp.
That's very squeaky for audio, just so you know. Don't do that.
We are now an ASMR show.
Yeah, let's not do that. It's extremely high pitched, seriously. Like, badly.
If I knew Morse code, I would do some Morse code with it.
Yeah, let's not. Alright. When you look back on the life you have lived to this point, what in particular amazes you the most? The fact that either of us found wives. That is the part that amazes me the most. That anyone would join us along this journey. And
I was going to say that I'm still alive, but the wife thing is pretty impressive.
I think the wife thing is more impressive than us just stumbling upon not death. Because let's be honest, we were not actively... there have been times we have been actively going, if we die, we die. So that wouldn't have been surprising. That would have just been, yeah, that I could see that happening. But that someone decided to partner with us in life, that's mind blowing. I don't even know what to think about that, to be honest. Oops. I froze Pastor Bill's video because I maximized something that can't be maximized because nothing can be maximized over his face or it goes crazy.
Don't freeze my video. I need that.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. Pastor Nooms just sent me a side message that says his wife lets him touch her butt. And I agree that is
I didn't
quite
want
the benefit to,
that's all that was going through my head. I was like, I found a wife,
marriage.
and she lets me touch her
My wife,
butt. But I
she
was
lets
like,
me touch her butt.
Zadie's right here, and she's gonna give me a dirty look if I.
So the other day was National Give a Compliment Day. And my wife, on the way to work, her whole trip to work, she was thinking of compliments for all these people. And she sent me this compliment, like 3 sentences, really thoughtful, really, And I said, "Are you saying this to me or are you quoting something?" And she explained, "Oh, it's National Compliment Day. I'm saying it to you." And I said, "Okay, well, you have a nice butt." That was the compliment I sent back to her.
So what you're saying is your wife sent you a paragraph-long thing as someone who is an avid person who enjoys writing, and she enjoys reading. She sends you a paragraph and you send her, "I like yo butt," as the response?
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. You would think you would have wrote something cute back. But you went the punny route, didn't you?
I've written cute things a lot.
Oh, okay. You were using the "we don't celebrate Valentine's Day"
over the years.
excuse that I use.
He says, You are so soft-hearted. You are
Yeah.
never callous to the truths of the world.
Mm.
The hurts and injustices you see in others hurts you too. It's easy to see that you want to make this world a better place. And let me tell you, that's the sappiest thing my wife has ever said in the 19 years that I've known her.
Is it wrong?
Straight up.
So, I love you, and you're one of my best friends, and everyone knows that. But everyone also knows I'm extremely sarcastic and borderline rude and ashish. Ashish is not the word I was looking for, but I'll let podcast land figure out what I meant by ash.
He means acidic. He means acidic.
I mean
He's
acidic.
really
Yeah,
acidic.
I'm very acidic. So is it wrong of me for each of the nice, beautiful quotes that she said, I thought of an insult that
Wow.
that means the same thing, but I I'm such a bad person. I'm sorry. I'm just mean. That's all it is to it. I'm mean.
That's all there is to it.
Welcome to my household. Sarcasm and hatred are love languages here. Welcome and buckle up. You should be wearing your seatbelt at all times, even when you're walking around, because you never know what's gonna happen.
Do not stick your hands outside of the windows. And we're on a flying carpet, so the exits are
Everywhere.
everywhere.
Bye bye now. Bye bye. Bye bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye now.
10,000 years will give you such a crick in the neck. Like,
Which, when I was young, I was like, that doesn't make it. What does that mean? And now that I'm old, and by old I mean we're in our 30s. Well, I'm in my 30s.
we're
Yeah, you're
I'm
not in your
41
30s.
now. I just had a birthday
And
just 20 days ago.
I'm sitting there and I'm like, no, I get it, because like sitting in a chair wrong can give you a crick in the neck. Like,
Right.
so 10,000
So
years, I
being
can't
locked
imagine.
in an itty bitty living space for 10,000 years.
I don't think there would be no like it. I would have to be gaseous to come out. There'd be no way in my current physical ability I would be able to stand or move if I was in a confined space. I can't stand up in the pew right at church when they do the okay, it's time to stand for this, and you're like,
Get up from my office chair after a couple of hours, like, oh, I gotta use the restroom. I should get
yeah.
getting up from my chair.
Anyway.
All right. So, like we said in the welcome, this is season 4, episode 7. And this whole season, we've been, going through the beginning of Genesis. We went through the beginning of John a little bit in there. And so now we're on Genesis chapter 1, verse 14. And we'll probably go all the way through.
Wait, what did you just say? We're where?
Verse 19. We're on Genesis chapter 1, verse 14.
For some reason, I thought you said First John, not Genesis. I was like, why? You did not. Why are we in First John? Like,
where in First John did you think we were? First John what?
I have no idea. But that's what I heard
John
instead
14?
of. I don't know, man.
First John chapter 1.
What is
Verse 14. There is no verse 14. It only
Nope.
goes up to 10.
Yeah, there'd be no what. Yeah, no. That's why I was like, wait, what is he talking about?
All right, that's all we have for tonight about First John verse 1:14.
Since it
We've
doesn't
covered
exist.
everything there is there. We'll...
yeah, we're gonna.
Thank you.
We're gonna move on.
Okay.
Back to Genesis.
Back to Genesis. That's the name of a thing, an organization. Okay.
What?
Then God said, back to Genesis is the name of an organization.
Oh.
Why your camera's really zoomed out more than normal?
I didn't fix it from last week when we talked about it, so it's the same place it was last week. I just haven't.
I feel like it's even
changed
more zoomed out than last week, though.
No, it's at 0. It's just Well, there's also the difference of sometimes I sit like this,
Okay.
and I'm not. I'm actually sitting. And well, okay. To be fair, I'm scooted back. Is that
To be fair.
to be fair?
All right, Genesis chapter 1, verse 14. Then God said, "Let there be lights in the expanse of the sky to separate the day from the night. They will serve as signs for seasons and for days and years." All right, so if we break that down again, like we've been doing, it's a bunch of words that um, really we've already talked about and we've looked into. There's gods in the plural, and then it's more command than it is said. And then there's exist instead of let there, right? And the expanse of the sky is, firmament or arch. Skies to be lofty. The stars there, or the lights, is luminous body or luminary. So not like, God created light and there was light and they separated the light from the darkness. We're talking about specific bodies of light. One commentary I read said that they even thought that this included angels as well, that this was when the angels were created because they would be luminaries, they would be bodies of light. And then, they serve as signs for seasons and days and years, and all of those are very straightforward words. I mean, the word for season could be a fixed time, which is basically what a season is. We look at things and we go, okay, well, we're going to call this season fall or autumn, and we set a fixed time for it. And then we get to Genesis chapter 1, verse 15. And we're piggybacking off of obviously 14 because it wasn't meant to be broken up, but they will serve as signs for seasons, for days and years. And then 15, they will be lights in the expanse of the sky to provide light on earth. And it was so. Once again, nothing too weird about any of that except for when we get down to and it was so. Once again, they've chosen to use this H3651 here, this cane, which means less and it happened, and more it was righteous or it was justified or it was, this kind of thing. It's not and it happened, it's and it was the right state of being. It was the way things were supposed to be. It was the measure of justice for creation, right? For existence was the lights exist and they give light to the earth. Okay. Then we get down to verse 16. I know we're flying through some of these verses. It's fine though.
I
Verse
do like the
16.
word for light. That
Yom?
is
Oh, that's hot. I'm sorry.
no the or,
Or, yeah,
which
luminous.
is just
Right.
to be luminous,
Right.
causatively make luminous. It's like
Yeah.
no, literally and metaphorically, it's just bright. It
Yeah.
is
It
light.
it gives off light.
Congratulations. It's like I love some of when you read like Strong's or other things, Greek to Hebrew, Greek and Hebrew dictionaries and other things, and it's like, well, it could be this and it could be that and it could be this and it could, and then other times it's like it means it's bright, homie. Like
It means it's bright.
this isn't a hard word. Like it's bright.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it could also be this, but it's pretty much bright.
Pretty much, that just pretty much meant bright. It's bright.
Just sometimes I find that to be fun. or to set on fire, which is also fun. Because what we know of most of the quote-unquote lights in the sky they are giant balls of fire. Most of them.
All right. Verse 16. God made the two great lights, the greater light to rule over the day, and the lesser light to rule over the night, as well as the stars. And once again, we have the plural for God there, Elohim, gods. And then when we get to made, right? This is actually the compound between H6213 and H853. It's all saw eighth. Now, does anybody remember eighth from back in the beginning of Genesis? Eighth is what you use when you indicate that someone personally did something, that they physically did the work, that they put in the time personally. So God personally formed the two great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night, as well as the stars. So we're not talking about God just said, light, gather yourself into stars. No. God personally made each star and put them in place. And for our instance, for the earth, he made a greater light to rule over the day and a lesser light to rule over the night. And we'll get more into talking about that particular light here in a minute.
And there's one of those things when you look at this from the standpoint of the people that were writing it down, right? And the people that for many years after that were copying it and translating it and all those types of things over and over and over again. They're like, yeah, and he made the stars. Yep, that makes sense. Now, when we look at it from everything past a certain point, once telescopes were made, that has such a deeper meaning. Because, well, at least for those of us who believe in gravity and believe, that the Earth isn't flat, there's a ton of extra stuff there in that, he made the stars. Well, then we have all the other planets around the stars and the way that they move and the way their gravities affect each other and the fact that some stars rotate each other in binary systems and in the fact that it's all this extreme complexity outside of just and the stars, because it's such a like we've talked about this a couple of times, is some of the stuff that is in Genesis 1, we jump over it because it is so, we're taught it, everyone knows what the creation story is. Even people who aren't Christian, even people who don't grow up in church, they pretty much know what Christians believe as the creation story because we're real good at talking about it because it's simple. But you get to it's literally like in the KJV, it's 3 words, technically 5 because 2 words were added. In the CSB, it's five words, and in each version, it's between 3 and 5 words. But the amount of stuff in that 3 to 5 words is phenomenal. The fact that now granted, the bigger one is also in 17 that we're about to get to, but just the fact of the different types of stars, the different sizes of stars, the different masses, the different way the galaxy, it's just, there's so much in that, as well as, oh yeah, and he did that. Because it doesn't affect humans, especially in the older realm, in the older days, it was like, oh well, there's something, but it's such a huge thing. um, when you really think about everything attached to, as well as, because if you think about it, it's just there's a lot there. So it always a little a little phrase like that blows my mind sometimes, because it's just like, oh yeah, and he did that work trillions of times, and we can't even calculate how many times he did it, other than the two that we can see. You know, we can't see all of them,
Yeah,
but he did it.
but he did it. All right. So we've got two great lights, right? We've got a greater light and a lesser light. The greater light rules over the day. Okay. And the lesser light rules over the night. And a lot of theologians look back and go, oh, well, he's definitely talking about the moon there. Got to be talking about the moon, because what else is there? Well, is it talking about the moon? Does the moon rule over the night like the sun rules over the day?
Mm.
I mean, it doesn't.
Well, and that's the the thing about the interestingness of when you look at the what they thought at that time each of them were, and what we know now also. It's that whole thing of, we know now one is a giant ball of fire, and the other one is a very reflective surface. um Back then they didn't necessarily. They were both bright-ish, and they were both.
Ish.
One was definitely lesser because, well, it's smaller and it disappears during certain times, and it controls our calendar for them. Like, because their calendar was based on the lunar cycle, so for them it did have a chunk of rulership.
I'm not sure if the Babylonian calendar was lunar.
I don't know either. I know a lot of the older cultures were, and it actually makes much more sense than the stupid calendar we have. Um,
So my question, so that the fiction writer in me wonders if the asteroid belt that is just on the other side of Mars, is it possible at one time that was a luminary body, a smaller star of some kind, or just a luminescent planet, you know? And if it was in a matching orbit around the sun with Earth, then it would always be visible in the night sky. Because, as that part of the Earth turned away from the sun, it would turn towards whatever that was. Because when I read this, the moon doesn't rule over the night. It just doesn't. It's 3 nights a month. It rules. And not even nights. Because, like, sometimes you'll get the full moon during the day. And not at night. Just depending on how it falls on that particular rotation.
yes, they were a lunar calendar.
Were they?
Yep. 12 months, 30 days.
I wonder about things like that because we're talking about the beginning of everything, right? And so my mind just wonders. Okay. So then in verse 17, God placed them in the expanse of the sky to provide light on the earth. So God personally makes all these,
So
these things, puts them in place.
so real quick, I would also like to point out in this, not poo-pooing on your idea of could there have been another body because it's the beginning of time.
Oh no, that's
There's no
why
telling.
that's why I gave the
Right.
it's
That's what
my
I'm saying. I'm not
fantasy writer,
right.
the
Yeah.
science fiction writer brain.
What I find interesting though is the number of societies that use lunar calendars versus the number of societies that used solar calendars.
Hmm.
Because the list, because I googled to see was Babylonian a blah blah blah. Babylonian, Celtic, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Vietnamese, Mongolian, Egyptian, Ancient Greek, Hebrew, Hindu, Iranian, uh, Macedonian, Mayan, Roman, Thai, and Tibetan all used solar. It. Why do we use? I know it's a tangent. I know I'm bad for doing this, but what in the world? Like every so, because it's like it doesn't make
Lunar calendars, they make more sense. I
they
mean,
don't.
with the lunar calendar, you end up with 13 months a year. Each month has 28 days in it, and then you're left with just one day out a year that doesn't fit into that little thing that you can either call the last day of the previous year or you can just call it the first day of the new year. And then you have January 1st. And um in a 13-month 28-day calendar, the first of the month can always be a Monday. And the 28th of the month can always be a Sunday. And so it's like, I don't understand why we have to have such complicated solar calendars with an extra day every 4 years, unless the year is divisible by a certain number and it's been a certain amount of years since the last time that it was divisible by 4 to know to not have a leap year that year. And it's all just really confusing and crazy. But just
Yeah, I just
can we just go back to the lunar calendar?
present day China, Vietnam, Hindu, Hebrew, and Thai all have current lunar solar calendars. This is what they call them. But anyway, it was one of those where it was like you think about it, and I was taught that some places have it and some places didn't, and we landed on solar, and it's like no, pretty much everyone had it except for like Egypt. Um, they
Who literally worship the sun
yeah
as a god.
yeah but they used a lunar calendar alongside their solar calendar from what this is saying, which is just super confusing.
Yeah,
But
the religious calendar was the solar calendar, and the secular calendar was the calendar that made more sense, the lunar calendar.
it's so interesting.
So we currently have a religious calendar based off of worshiping the sun. A heliocentric is what they call it. Heliocentric calendar.
And it's yeah,
All right. So 17, God places them, and then 18 is still the middle of that sentence, to rule the day and night and to separate light from darkness. And God saw that it was good, and the gods saw that it was good. And once again, there, it is not the see inside yourself like when he originally greeted light. It's not that. It's just he looked at the existence of luminary bodies.
What do you do? What do you do? Why are you turned around?
My thing got unplugged.
What thing? Pastor Bill is having technical difficulties and is playing behind him turned around, not focusing on like I have any way
The
to
light,
judge as I.
the lights behind me got unplugged. Okay,
How did I not notice that?
so I don't know. I saw it in the camera.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
God, it's not that he looked inside of himself like he did before. He looks at the individual lights, and says, "That's good." Okay, so let's take a step back, and do more of an overview of what we've looked at, some of what we've looked at so far. So last week it was seeds, and no. Anyway, whatever it was last week. In the verses, God calls forth the grass, the fruits, the seeds, the herbs. He calls all that forth, and it grows, and it flourishes on the earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Except God hasn't created the sun yet. He does that next,
Mm-hmm.
on the next day.
Mm-hmm.
I also want someone to explain to me how there were days and nights and evenings and mornings in the contemporary sense of those words, the way we use them now, if there was no sun and moon yet. Right? So, what the universe existed of is there was light, right? So, if I look in my bedroom and I take my hand and I cover the light bulb where I can't see the light bulb, there's light everywhere in my room,
Mm-hmm.
right?
But
Now, there's a
there's
light source at the point, a luminary, but then there were no luminaries. The light was just there.
just running around.
The sky, if you were standing on the planet, you looked up, the sky would just be glowing.
It's just day for no good reason.
Just day for no good reason, just
Yep.
light everywhere. Now, God had separated the light from the darkness. So, if you're going to strictly say that those first 3 days were literal contemporary days, the way we use those words today, then you're painting a picture of, okay, so the earth is like this turning, right? And this is what creates day and night, is the earth turning. You are painting a picture of the universe being split down the middle on the line of Earth, where half the universe is light and half the universe is dark, and the Earth is orbiting, not orbiting, but revolving in that line to create your traditional contemporary morning and evening and day and night, instead of just taking the words at face value that it was a time period, and some of them were known as hot times, and some of them were known as turned away from the hot times, and it may not have been literal contemporary days. Now, once the sun is created, absolutely, you've got all the leeway in the world to say, oh, that's a contemporary day. Days 4, 5, 6, and 7. Not necessarily 7, because it doesn't necessarily say that God got up on the 8th day and went, I'm done resting. I'm going to go back to work. It doesn't say that. It just says he definitely rested on the 7th day, but it doesn't say he didn't stop, It doesn't say he stopped resting on the 8th. But if you're going to say days 4, 5, and 6 were literal contemporary days, I'll give you that. The scriptures absolutely support that. But only from what we've read so far, from the study we've done up to this point, it's a logical conclusion to walk away from those verses and absolutely believe that days 1, 2, and 3 could have been eons, millennia, a long time, right? And still, to God, be considered a day. Because God doesn't work on our time, we don't work on God's time, back and forth, right? You got any thoughts about all that, Pastor Nim?
It definitely is interesting. It's always so. As a child, I never. This is one of those areas where I was like, "This is bull." Like
Yeah.
something's wrong here.
So this don't make no sense.
Because even the words, like if we go back to 13, morning is morning, evening is evening, and the third day. Okay, cool. Like those are the words that are used. But how? And of course, growing up in religious schools, the answer was, well, just have faith that it's true. No, I get that, but how? God
Right.
created all of this. God set it in motion. God created the laws that we live by. So how? Because God didn't just willy-nilly start creating stuff. Like, when you look at, you know, making things, He made the rules. Also, that's the only way you can keep something together is to bond the elements properly. And so if the elements were not bonded previously, He had to do it. If they were, that's a whole nother conversation of where. But that's beside the point and not what we're talking about tonight.
Where, how, when, by what power?
Yeah. Um what number universe are we? Um you know,
Well, that's easy. We're obviously 666. I mean,
only if you're in DC. Marvel's a different number. DC jerk. Anyway, which is ironic tonight, considering I'm wearing the Batman shirt and don't like DC. And the one who loves DC is talking about it. But that's beside the point too. But it's interesting to me when you look at those things and it's like, okay, but how? And that's when we really have to take the Word of God, meaning the Bible, as the inspired word, that it was passed down, it was upheld by churches, it was all the things that we know about the Bible from all the things we've talked about in the past. Some of it is poetic, some of it is historical, some of it is prophecy, some of it is, you know, it's good for certain things. Each part of the Bible is good for certain things. Certain parts aren't. The fact that Paul left his jacket
yeah.
somewhere is not theological in any way, unless you want to really get into the, see, Paul's not perfect, everyone makes mistakes. I mean, you could
Or
use it to
when
teach
you're
a story, but not always. And this is one of those
when you're
situations.
when you're reading through Job and one of his friends starts talking about the pillars that hold up the sky. Does he really believe there's pillars holding up the sky, or is he being poetic and describing the mountains
Right.
that they can see from where they're sitting? Like,
And their personal beliefs of what held up the sky currently. Does it make it
right.
canonical just because it's written? And so this is one of those situations where when you really look at it, you're like, okay, how? How was there an evening and a morning before there was, like, because
Before there were luminary bodies.
you look at the word morning, it's early, properly dawn. Okay, you can't have the break of a day in dawn without something that is dawning.
Right.
And so when you, I just realized I moved my standing desk because it was irritating me that it wasn't even, and that probably just shook the whole camera and everything. So sorry about that, guys. I just grab my desk and move it while we're talking. Um, it's just interesting to look at some of those types of things and figure out, what do we truly mean? What is it really? And we can look at the Hebrew and see what the Hebrew words mean, but even in knowing what the Hebrew words mean, it's still telling a story. And that's where we get into this aspect of the Bible is so important. It's such an important book, and none of us are gonna, at least on this podcast, are gonna sit here and be like, and the Bible is wrong here. Okay, so the wrong is an inaccurate statement in so many ways, so often that it's used, but it doesn't mean it's 100% exactly what we understand, because we can't understand all of this. We're not meant to understand all of this. That's where faith comes in. That's where knowledge comes in.
Right.
We have to have that faith. When we get to heaven, I guarantee it's going to be one of those things God's going to be like, I know. I don't know. I told them it was a day. I told them it was a time period, and they wrote morning, evening. I don't know what they were thinking either. Like, I told them a certain thing. They wrote it close. It wasn't far enough off for me. I didn't think there'd be people for 2,000 years arguing about it for 10,000 years, saying how I made a mistake. I didn't make a mistake. The writer didn't make a mistake. Words are hard. If you tried to speak and you're like, yeah, sorry, man, but it is. Words are hard.
Have you tried to pass down word to people who literally change what every word means every couple hundred years and try to make it mean the same thing for thousands of years? This is not easy.
If one more person looks at me and says, why did you make the Bible challenging? I didn't. You people did.
If you people would have just picked one language and stuck with it.
Oh, wait. Oh, wait. We could blame that one on...
Tower of Babel.
I didn't think that my analogy there would get to Babel somehow, but oops. It did. Not saying God made a mistake with Babel. That's not what we're trying to say here on the Berean Manifesto. What we're trying to say is words are hard. And we have, this is where faith comes in. Yes, we can sit here and break down what the Hebrew word meant and what was, but some of it is just, huh? What? Are we really?
The closest the Bible ever gets to saying that God made a mistake, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is when God considers that he made humanity and he repents of making humanity. So basically, that word repent means to turn your back on. He turns his back on the plan and goes, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that.
And then he's like, oh, no, I should have. But they are irritating.
That's the closest the Bible gets to saying God made a mistake. It's just right there on the edge.
And I would like to point out, this is why relationships is hard. This is not part of the podcast tonight, and this is a freebie from Pastor Nooms, but relationships are hard.
You giving out freebies?
Even at times, God has gone, I shouldn't have even made them. I don't know why I did that. They're special. These guys are all idiots. The whole group. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, no, I do love them. You're right. I do love them. Fine.
Emmanuel, get over here and remind me why we made these things.
Emmanuel, Holy Spirit, please, someone remind me why.
Well, have we considered Noah? Oh, yeah. That's a good example of why I made them. Okay, hey, Noah, listen up. We're going to kill everybody. Cool? Well, I mean, as long as me and my family get to survive, we're good. I was hoping you wouldn't say that. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make a boat because it's going to rain. It's going to what? It's going to rain. It's going to rain a lot. What's rain? You know the water in the seas and the oceans? It's gonna fall from the sky
But why?
a lot to kill everything.
But how?
Cause I'm God. Shut up and start building. It's gonna take you 120 years.
Oh, sometimes. Sometimes this is hard. Sometimes things are hard.
Okay. The prison may breathe piece of sugar.
We have devolved, y'all.
Those were words.
No, those weren't.
Um,
Those were syllables.
The Berean Manifesto. It's a podcast that comes out every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, wherever you get your podcasts. If you found this podcast helpful or any of our back episodes, please share that with someone you love because we need more people to. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to beg.
No.
It would be
Ugh.
great to have more people join us on Sunday nights, though. We record this thing live, and you can participate in the chat via Twitch or YouTube or Facebook.
That's it.
Didn't there
Technically
used to be another
Discord.
one?
There used to be other ones, but Restream
Well, we
hated
have
them.
a Discord server as well. And you can go to our website, www.ekk.house. Let me tell you, every time I say www.ekk.house, the Google auto transcript
Hates it.
changes it to www.kera.org/educational resources or something like that. And I'm like, that's not even close to what I said. It literally it pulls up a KERA URL every time I say www.ekk.house.
Which
And
is
I'm like,
weird, because when
why?
I say it, when I was doing the Google translating,
Mhm.
it was just like EKK, the word dot, part of house, and it would move forward. And you're like,
That's funny.
what are you doing? Anyway.
No, for me, it throws in a whole nother
Mm.
URL. I believe it's KERA. See, now you got me wanting to look it up so I can read what it actually is. It take me
You
less
probably
than
should
30
finish.
seconds to
You
pull it
probably
up.
should finish the thing, and we can do that during the 30-second buffer.
I don't want to do it in 30-second buffer. I want the people to know
Okay.
on the before that
Okay.
what it says because it's so funny. Okay, it's loading the latest transcription right now.
Okay.
So yeah, so go to our website and find out which Twitch, which YouTube, and which Facebook you can go to, and come be a part. You know, I cannot put up my fingers without my pinky coming out too. It drives me nuts when I go 1, 2, and then 3, 3, 4. I just want 3.
That's probably carpal tunnel. Let's be honest.
It's probably something
Too
annoying.
far?
So we'd like you to join us on Sunday nights, 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, and be a part of the conversation. You can ask questions, or you can disagree with us, or you can say, "What about this?" and ask questions, and just really be a part of the conversation. We didn't really have any of that tonight. Zadie participated in kind of the warm up. Zadie is Nooms' wife, but it would be nice to have people that were not related to participating as well. That would be fun.
It would be fun. We
Not
get it
that I-
sometimes.
not that I don't appreciate those that are related to us coming on and supporting us. That is a huge affirmation of, ego. It's nice. I like it. The transcription will not load for some reason. I do not know why. All right, so I guess we're not doing that.
It's because you want it to?
It's because I wanted to. Yeah, Murphy's over here messing with my internet. He won't let it load.
I believe that's just because you live in Decatur.
And it's 27 degrees, and there's freezing mist outside. So
Satellite
that's
internet.
not helping. It's not satellite. It's laser.
Ugh.
Laser sight.
Fine. Laser sight internet.
Laser sight. Well, satellite implies that, we're pointed up, but we're not. We're pointed at a water tower a few miles away. Okay. So that's all we have for tonight. I love you guys. I hope you have a great week.
Be safe out there.
And until next time. Man, I really wish that would have loaded.
It'll load. It'll load now here in a minute.
It'll
Oh.
load as soon as we get done with the 30-second buffer.
So after the 30-second buffer, do not call me. I'll call you. Just as a heads up. Because Says is in bed, so I don't want you calling both of us and it ringing him and waking him up.
I could just call on our private channel. And just
I know.
ring
I
you.
just I meant I wasn't gonna say that part, but then I was like, oh, Says isn't gonna care if I say that part, so I just said that part. Of our what is that?
Cough syrup.
30-second buffer. 30-second buffer. 30-second buffer.
Okay, it
Has
says.
it been 30 seconds yet? No, that's not how time
You ready?
works. 30-second buffer.
www.
30-second buffer.
Listen to me.
30-second buffer.
Shush. www.kpbs.org/news/evening edition is what it puts in every time I say www.ekk.house.
Weird. Alright, it's been
I
30
just read
seconds.
it.
I'm going to press the button now.
Oh. 30-second buffer. 30-second buffer. 30-second buffer. 30 seconds. No, that's not hours. Okay, you can do it now. I'll put my